name is Einav Avni. I am an emotional freedom coach and energy healer. This podcast, Healing Conversation, is really here for conversations about healing physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, anything that goes. We're here to talk about it and bring some inspiration and empowerment. So, with me in the studio, I have Robyn Harris. Robyn, it's wonderful to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Einav. It's exciting to be here, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, me too, me too. And especially, of course, you are a returning guest. And since we last spoke, you also have a book that looks very nice and wonderful out there. So we'll talk about that as well.
Well,
But for those that don't maybe haven't seen the previous episode with you, so maybe share with us a little bit about you.
sure, thank you. So, my name is Robyn, and my business is Wild Wellbeing. And WILD is an acronym. Basically, it comes from my own journey because I think a lot of us who work in this sector, we've had our own journey, which is why we're so passionate about well-being. And I came from a place where I felt miserable. I felt the world was against me. I felt my body was against me. It was letting me down. It was going wrong. And I kind of didn't want to be here for a long time. I had a really bad relationship with my body. And it was trying to navigate through that, trying to find answers, that whole struggle. And then how I ended up working through that and finding, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I found so many wonderful bits of wisdom that just the way that they slotted together for me led to the creation of my acronym WILD, which stands for wonder, intuition, loving ourselves, and dancing with life. Because for me, it's so much about how we see things, how we see ourselves, how we see the world, how we see ourselves within the world. And when we can shift that perception from where I was very negative and blaming and quite angry as well at times,
Mm.
into something that is more wonder. Wow, we get this gift of life. We get to be here now. Very interesting times to be alive. But at the same time, when we can then love ourselves, listen to our intuition, follow what's true for us, we get to bring our unique gifts to the world, to ourselves, to those around us. And we get to dance. Because I used to say, and people have said it to me, it's one step forward and two steps back, and life just feels like a struggle. Well, if it's one step forward and two steps back in a dance, that wouldn't matter. And if we stopped, as I used to do, just seeing life as a competition, as a struggle, as I'm being judged all the time and always feeling like I'm being found wanting, if I can look at it instead of I'm just here to experience. That's all it is. My purpose, I feel, the purpose for each one of us is just to discover, explore, play with, who am I? What do I bring to the world? What am I here to learn? Because I think we're here just as, it's a learning journey. We get to play with that. We get to explore it. And we can do it in a way that makes it fun. So, as Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And it doesn't need to be big changes. Sometimes I think we think my problems are big and scary and painful, and the solution is going to be the same: big, scary, painful. But it doesn't have to be. It's small steps taken consistently that have massive impacts that you wouldn't necessarily expect how big those shifts can be. And so that's what I want to share with people: a message of empowerment. We can take back our power over our well being. We are the experts on our body. Nobody else has lived in my body for the 57 years that I've lived in it. Nobody else has walked my path and knows what it's like from the inside out. And the same for every one of us. So, yeah, it's my passion is to share that message of empowerment and to tell people, you can do it. If I did it, you can do it. And we can it's just about finding your own way. We don't have to be a copy of anybody else, because that's not bringing to the world your unique gifts. So
Mm. Totally resonates with me, and I'm very excited that this is the kind of conversation that we are going to have today. Um, a lot of people will find it really challenging, which of course is basically also what you know that of
Yeah.
how to move from where they are, maybe in this pain, maybe in the misery, maybe in this victim, all of this, kind of a negative space, and then how do I actually make that jump into the place that I want to be. How do you help people to navigate that? Because it's so, people that have been unwell for a while, they are they've tried everything, and they stopped believing, they stopped trusting, they stopped, in some way they even stopped hoping, I think. And then all of a sudden there's someone like you, like me, like, similar people that says, hey, and so they, maybe they want to believe, or maybe they want to get along and try it, but then the past, right, the patterns, the habits, the hobbies, not hobbies, the patterns will basically come back, and they will find themselves in the same, or in a similar struggle again and again. So how do you help people navigate all of that?
I support people to become conscious of the stuff that, like you say, the habits or the story. What
Mm.
story have we got running in our heads, in our bodies, in our inner talk? So, partly becoming conscious of that, because when we're conscious of it, we can see where we are. We can then also think about, well, where do I want to be? What does my ideal story look like? How do I get from A to B? If we
Mhm.
don't know where A is, we don't really know where we are, and we don't know what our story is, or our patterning and our behaviors, and what's brought us to where we are now. It's not so clear. And also, if we want to know where we're going, so that we have a destination in mind. And I went to Castle Carey in Somerset 3 weeks ago. It is now. So starting from Wales, I've not been to Castle Carey before. I could have just got in the car and just drive and hope.
Mhm.
But we don't, do we? We know where we are. Hopefully, we know where we live. And we get out a map, or we go on Google Maps. And when you go on Google Maps, you can also ask for directions, and it draws you a little line, and you can get a sense, okay, so from where I am, I need to head south. So I need to go across the bridge, get into England, go down the M5. And it's that kind of thing. Where am I starting? Where do I want to be? What story have I been telling myself that has got me to where I am? What story would maybe help me get closer to where I want to be? And we keep just refining that as we go, as we do, because you can't just go as the crow flies from where I am to Castle Carey. You've got to go across the bridge and then go down and then across. So we can constantly be tweaking. But also, I think from where we are now, yes, we may be hopeless and we may not even have a clue about what destination we could even imagine because it's just too far. But we can look at the next step. And sometimes it's like climbing a mountain. You think that's the peak and you get there and oh no, I'm only in the foothills. There's a hell of a long way still to go. There's the peak. Oh no, this is just another step along the way. Or if you're going along a road, you can only see as far as the next bend. But every time you get a bit higher, you get more of a more clear, wider vision. And when you go around the corner, you see new views. And every step, every shift along the way makes a big impact, bigger than you expect. And it creates its own momentum then. I'm getting closer, I'm getting closer. Life feels better, my body feels better. When, like Bruce Lipton says, the moment you change your perception is the moment you rewrite the chemistry of your body. So everything starts to behave differently. You start to feel different. You get some more motivation, you get some mojo, and it really supports you along the journey. And I know what it's like to feel hopeless because I was there. And like I said, I didn't want to be here. I was planning how to check out. So it is possible. And that's what I really like to share with people. Please do believe. And if you can't believe for yourself, then I'm sharing with you it is possible. Take my belief or speak to somebody that you trust. And if they'll tell you it is possible. You can do this. Take their belief until you can develop your own.
This is, again, it's interesting because this question of belief is a very strong one. Of course, beliefs is what creates half the problem, right? If you believe that you're getting better, you will get better. And if you believe that you're not doing well and it's never going to happen, then that's exactly
Yeah.
what's going to happen. But 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 it's how do we show, how do we help people, actually, even a lot of the time people will say, I just don't want to feel the way I do, and I just want to get better. So it is very broad. How do we help them to get, to get deeper into the details, and so that they can see, like you say, where they are at the moment, and where it is that they want to go.
I actually wrote a blog about that. I just don't want to feel this way anymore.
Yeah, yeah, good, good,
Um,
good title, yes.
yes. Well, that wasn't quite the title, but it's that theme, like you say. I just don't. Everything feels wrong, and I don't want to feel this way anymore. Don't ask me what I want because I'm too in where I am right now. So I'll help people to explore that and help them to kind of get more of a handle on where they are now, what has brought them to this point, what feels right for them, what's working for them, and what isn't. And it may seem like the not working is forever, and the working is maybe initially maybe feels like nothing at all.
Mm.
But there's always something that we can. It's some people call them glimmers. What are those little rays of light that
Mhm.
we can catch hold of and build on? And I do a lot of things like body scanning. Where are you feeling it in your body? If you can't put a name on it, and I also have emotion wheels that I use and mood cards. So that helps people maybe just to start to put language on it. And when we put language on it, we can make sense of it and we can kind of build up a picture of, right, that's where I am. But I also get people just to tune into their body. Where do you feel this in your body? And where have you felt that before? And let's explore that. And like you, I'm an energy worker. So I'll do various different energy techniques. Sometimes just starting off with safety is the really important thing, because if we're in that point, that in that place of I'm in fight or flight and I just can't see anything better, I can't, it's all just too much. I feel I'm in overwhelm. It's all too scary. That big, painful problem. Then just doing maybe some vagus nerve exercises just to calm that down, bring us out of the dorsal shutdown or sympathetic panic and more towards feeling, I'm okay, I've got this, even just for this moment. Because there's a mantra that I quite often use: right here, right now, in this moment, I'm safe. It's
Mm.
okay. So a lot of that work and grounding, whether that's breathing exercises, I walk around barefoot a lot of the time. So taking off our shoes and socks, if we can, do that outdoors. Feel the earth beneath your feet. Feel the roots going down, the energetic roots going down out of the bottom of your feet into the earth. And feel that two-way. They're going down and Mother Earth is sending us support, nourishment, nurturing. So those kinds of things. And I tap as well. I'm an EFT practitioner.
Mhm.
And if people have symptoms, physical symptoms or emotional symptoms as well, then I do a thing called meta consciousness, which helps us to unpack them and to understand. As I was saying, for myself, I thought my body was going wrong. It's not. It's making adaptations. And those adaptations can take us out of our optimum and into being a little bit more out of balance. But that's
Mm.
okay, because it'll tell us how to get back.
I like that. I like this, teaching people to listen to the bodies, and actually, I can imagine that when they are focusing on everything that you just described, it's kind of really taking them off that panic, or feeling of disconnect, or rabbit in a headlight, or all of that kind of thing, which a lot of the time people really do feel. Um, so meta consciousness, is that what you said?
That's right, yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
And it's kind of what it says on the tin: meta, overarching, consciousness, awareness. So it's more than a tool. It's an understanding of, like I was saying, who am I? How do I interact with the world around me? What is my place in the world? Because when we're making that adaptation within our body, it's because of something in there that's feeling threatened. I'm feeling threatened. My place in the world is feeling threatened. The world feels threatening to me. So we start to explore that. And I think also in relation to that and the previous question, rather than always looking outside, I was one of these people. That's wrong. That's wrong. If they were different, but also the world just doesn't support me. And then we're looking outwards all the time. We're looking, there's that kind of thing of I need validation, but I'm looking outward for it. Starting to come within, starting to learn how to trust our body, that it is looking after us, starting to trust its wisdom, so that intuition, that inner compass, that inner guidance, and to trust that it is actually trying to support you, to learn that is the truth. But as A.H. Almaas says, our pain is our pain. It won't go to anybody else. Their pain is their pain, but it's being given to you by the part of you that loves you the most. When I first heard that, it blew me away. It's the only communication tool that our body has. It doesn't have words. All it can do is give us emotions and give us physical feelings.
Mm.
So it's just a matter of, well, how do I tune in? How do I interpret those? How do I understand those? How do I develop that dialogue? And I talk about the body vocabulary. So starting to tune in and listen. When you feel that, what's your body trying to tell you? And is your body interpreting it correctly? So our mind will be tuning in. What's the body doing? Oh, I'm breathing a little bit more rapidly, or my heart rate is up, or my blood pressure is up. Oh, does that mean I should panic? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's because we're interpreting that potentially as anxiety, because maybe that's our pattern and that's the story that we have learned to tell ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not anxiety, it's excitement. And I heard recently a beautiful quote that anxiety is excitement without the breath. So if I start to think, oh, I'm anxious, breathe. And they say it is all about the breath, isn't it? So when we can bring breath in, so I'd use breath with people. And again, that's very grounding, very centering. When we're in the fight or flight, we're just hamster wheel. The executive functioning has gone kind of offline. So to bring us back into our core, into our center, brings us that greater clarity as well.
I think it's very, of course, very, very helpful. A lot of the time when I talk to my clients, yes, other than there's that disappointment of the body, like you said as well, right? It's that, and it's this, also there is also always an element of surprise there, because we trust our bodies until one day we realize that we can't, and then there is that disappointment. But I want to talk a little bit more about this, our body's innate ability to heal ourselves. How do you help people understand that, or believe that, or really start to feel it for themselves?
Part of it is the meta consciousness work that I do. I run a 3-day workshop here face to face, but I also, I'm happy to travel. If there's a group of people and they want to learn it, then I will go. But I do it online as well. There's a self-study online course with Zoom call support. And that breaks it all down and really shows us what is going on in the body. And I give the example quite often of eczema. That's something that I experienced myself. And if you have a cut on your hand, when do you find it goes red and itchy? When it's healing.
Mm-hmm.
And eczema is the same. It's the same part of our body, the epidermis, the top layer of the skin. And we kind of think the messaging, subliminal messaging, is that that's a flare-up of eczema, you must be stressed. But from a metaconsciousness perspective, we understand that that's the healing phase. Because when skin is healing, it's red and it's itchy and it's inflamed. The stress came before. And if you think about what they give us for eczema, things like cortisol cream. Cortisol, we know, adrenaline, cortisol, they're the stress hormones. When we are in fight or flight, we are designed to numb out to pain and discomfort so that we can flee and we can fight for our lives. So the numbing phase is the stress phase.
Mm-hmm.
And for skin, what cortisol does is thins the skin. And that's what's happening in the stress phase. So for somebody who has repeated eczema, they're having repeated times when the skin is thinning because they're stressed, and then it's healing when it goes red and itchy. So I look at which part of the body. So skin where? I had it on my hands, my feet, and my eyelids. What does that mean? What do your hands do for you? Where on the hands? The front, the back, the fingers, the thumbs. And same with, for me, my eyelids and my feet. And exploring that. And when I go through the whole of the metaconsciousness for the whole of the body with people, it makes so much sense, because we have that little inner truth meter that just knows, yes, but of course, my skin is healing when it's red and it's itchy. If I have a cut, isn't it just the same? And bones and muscles, they respond to our sense of self-worth. What do they do for us? They are our ability to move, to do things, to lift things. They are our strength, our backbone. We talk about stand up, have a backbone, hold your head up. And our language is so metaphorical. And that's the way that our body is responding. And if you go to the gym, you lift weights that are a little bit beyond what's comfortable in order to rip the muscle fibers so that the muscles grow back stronger. And basically, that's what the body is doing when we feel we can't do something. We feel the weakness so that the body will come back stronger. So we'll have a bit of muscle loss, bone density loss, while we're in that stress phase. While we have a belief, you said beliefs are so important, while we have that belief that I can't do this. And even your body, your posture, everything shows that. Mm-hmm. But then when we have some form of a resolution and we realize, I can't, I mean, you can just see, and the Harvard Power Pose, I can do this. We stand up straighter, we stand up taller, and our bones and muscles start to repair. But think of the gym again. If you've been lifting weights, the next day or 2 days or even 3 days after, how do you feel?
Yeah, I remember that.
I had an arm day, I had a leg day, I had a glute day. I'm in pain. And when you have something like the flu and you experience those muscle and joint aches, that's what's happening. Your body's healing. It's not the message that we're given. And it initially sounds a bit counterintuitive, but when you think about it, oh gosh, yes, that makes sense. So I talk to people about that, because that helps to shift that mindset into possibility. And, oh, my body is actually trying to look after me, trying to do the best for me. And it is just speaking to me.
So what would be, where are you hoping this will go with people? I mean, you know, what change would you like to see in the world? I mean, at the moment, a lot of the time, you know, we talk about fears a lot of the time, fears that the medical system, you know, kind of keeps throwing at us. And of course, there is a movement of people to understand more about their bodies and to understand more about, you know, the mind-body connection and about our emotional being. And so what is, in your opinion, how is that going to, how are we going to expand this movement? How are we going to get into the awareness of more people? And what is it? What is this new reality?
In terms of spreading the word, that's why I talk on podcasts and I go and speak to groups and I run workshops, because having learnt this stuff and realizing, gosh, that was what I was looking for. I want it because it gives such a sense of empowerment. It's my body. It knows what it's doing. I can work with it so that I experience greater well-being. And when I do experience dis-ease of some kind, I know what's going on. And I know if I need to go to the doctor or not, if I need that level, or if I can catch it early enough. Because if we've gone off balance and we catch it early, it's not very far to go back. But if we're not able to hear, understand, listen, interpret, we're going way off down another tangent, and it's a lot further to come back. Sometimes you can still jump it in one go. Depends on how things are and whether you can shift them. But just to give people that understanding, because I think part of the fear is the lack of knowledge. because we've gone, the medical profession, they are the institution that deal with our well-being. I remember growing up and I kind of, there's this message of, if you're ill, you go to the man in the white coat with a stethoscope. Just goes to show how out of date that is. But that's how we're still kind of conditioned. And I know they're trying to shift that now because the NHS is so overwhelmed. They're understaffed. They're under-resourced. They do an amazing job. And I'm not dissing the NHS at all. But really, their best functioning is in terms of if we have an accident, we need to be stitched back together or that sort of thing, rather than the pharmaceutical side of things. That it's a whole other kettle of fish, which probably not open that can of worms, mixing my metaphors terribly. But I think because we know that the NHS is struggling, because it's so difficult in many parts of the country, in the UK certainly, to get an appointment with your GP, when you do get an appointment with your GP, it's 5 minutes. If you're lucky, if they're not rushed, if they don't have a queue waiting out the door. And you don't have a family doctor. When I was growing up, we had 2 brothers, and then one of them brought their daughter in, and that was a family practice. And you just saw those 2 and then 3, one or other of them. They knew you, they knew your family, they knew your situation, they knew your history. And it was much more personal care. Now you go to a health clinic and there are a number of doctors, and quite a lot of them are locums, so they're not even permanently there in that location. And you might see any of them and they won't know who you are. They won't know your history. They won't know your family. So in terms of being able to have the best care, I think take our responsibility back, take our power back, keep ourselves healthy and well and know how to do that as much as we can. Takes the pressure off the NHS. And then they can carry on doing what they need to do. And we aren't dependent on them, on the pills that always bring side effects. Whereas, energy work doesn't. Taking care of yourself doesn't. So when we can empower ourselves with the tools that are right for me as an individual, then I think it's a win-win, supporting both sides. And we're talking about fear. We have it everywhere, wall to wall. We can't get away from it now. And there's all the things that are happening in America. I was at a networking meeting earlier today, and that's all the talk was about because of the impacts of, the economy and stuff. So we've got all of that fear everywhere. It's the topic of conversation. It's on the radio. It's on the television. It's on your social media feed. It's in your newspaper. It's everywhere. We didn't have that years ago. So also remembering that all of that is having an impact on us. And again, somewhere we can take our power back. I'm not going to listen to the news.
I think I think to me, that's always a very important reminder of how much stress is impacting our health. And people don't see that. They say, oh, I'm fine. Or, it's just this time. Or, recently it's March. It seems to be, a great source of, challenge for everyone. But people really don't. It's still not there. This, the mind-body connection, understanding that when your mind is stressed, your body is showing it. It hasn't got anywhere else to go. It's one of the same thing, right?
And unfortunately, we are so busy these days that we are not able. We need stillness to hear that inner voice, that intuition. And we're so busy, we're not able to sit down and think, well, how am I feeling? Where is my stress level at the moment? It's just, I'm in my headspace. I ignore the body because I don't have time. I'll do it one day, which doesn't come unless we make time for it because we are so busy. And Gabor Mate has written a wonderful book, his most recent one, The Myth of Normal, Trauma, Illness and Healing in a Toxic Culture, saying that our culture is toxic precisely because of that, because we're so busy, because we've detached from how we're actually feeling in our body. We're living in our minds and in our heads, and we're encouraged to do that. Reason out your problem, think things through, talk things through. But there are more and more, or I'm becoming more and more aware of people out there like Gabor Mate, the body when the body says no, Bessel van der Kolk, the body keeps the score, who are saying, come back to your body. That is where our wisdom is held. We have a head brain, a heart brain, and a gut brain. And the heart brain has more electromagnetic activity than the head brain. And the gut brain sends more information up to the head brain than the head brain does down to the gut. And there's two of them and only one of them. But it's like we have two ears and one mouth, and we still sometimes talk more than we listen.
Yeah, I guess we still have a way to go. But tell me a little bit more about your book. Congratulations. That's been about a year now that it's out?
It'll be a year in July.
Yeah. What can people expect when they get the book?
So this is the book.
A beautiful cover.
Thank you. I worked with the most amazing editor, Anne-Marie Reynolds of beginnerbook.com, and she has software that designs covers. So we kind of did a brain dump on what did I want. And I wanted nature. I want to bring nature in. There's a Celtic element because I'm from Ireland. And yeah, she just put it all together. The woman is also barefoot. So we've talked about being barefoot. But basically, the book starts out with my story to explain where I came from and how wild came about, what wild stands for, and then it goes through each letter in turn, and it includes exercises. So if somebody is at that position of, well, where do I start? It has a wild light at the beginning, which is just one simple step, one simple exercise for each letter. But as you read through the rest of the book, it goes into more depth. And then it talks a little bit about meta-consciousness and the basic things, the basic foundations that we can put in place just to establish that safety, because I talk a lot about that in the book, and that grounding from where we then can go, right, I know where I am, I know where I want to be. Now I go get there. And the book is designed to be like a companion along that journey. And that journey for me is never ending, which is part of the joy of it, because we keep on learning and growing all the way through life. It's not, I've got there, done, finished.
Yeah.
Personally, I think I'd get bored. And it's not that we're struggling that whole time, because for me, what I've come to realize, what I've found for myself, is that it becomes joyful. That's not to say that there aren't still curveballs coming in and life isn't still challenging, but I have come to realize the truth that when the word enjoy actually means in joy, to bring joy in, and that's a choice. Even in the darkest of times, we get to turn on the light, to quote, was it Dumbledore, I think, who said that? Paraphrasing him. But it is our choice. We can get to the point where, oh, it's a really tough day. I'm going to choose to bring joy into it. I'm going to choose just to enjoy the fact that I'm here and I'm alive. And I don't know if you can hear the birds singing here, but just to find something in the day that's a glimmer, that's a wonder, that's a joy for you. And just even for a second, put your attention on that. Because where our attention goes, our energy flows. And that thing grows. So the more we can find those glimmers and the more we can put our attention on them, the more life just shifts naturally.
I think it's very, it's like there's two camps, I guess. The people who know and the people who don't know yet. And we want to share these with people. And I especially see it with people with, maybe, I guess, with mental health, with depressions and stuff like that for them, it's more than anything, whether whatever there is going on in their bodies, it's really about this, black cloud that is just sitting on top of them and they can't shift it. And so it's really difficult for them to connect with any of the things that we were talking about today. And actually, I was talking with this one woman, and she was so tired of being unwell. but the interesting thing for me was that she it was kind of like an unconscious insistence of bringing the problems back. So we had a session, and in the session she, you know there are changes, right? Because like exactly what you described at the beginning, even if you're just breathing at the moment, right, you are shifting your mind, you're shifting your body, you're bringing in change. You slowly you're bringing in the overall change. It doesn't have to mean that you're going to get well in one day, but it's that process. And so in the session you could see that things were shifting, and then afterwards it was like, actually, let me just bring back exactly everything that I was saying beforehand, because this is where I live, basically.
And that's the thing, it becomes our identity.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
the whole thing of how can we get you to feeling safe to start putting that down bit by bit.
Yeah.
And I talked about meta consciousness and how it works with physical symptoms, but it works with emotional experiences, emotional dis-ease as well. So for
Mhm.
things like anxiety, where a physical symptom has probably come from one issue, we call them a UDIN, something that happened that was unexpected, dramatic, isolating, and no coping strategy, UDIN, UDIN. But when you have something that's more behavioral or maybe emotional, like anxiety, then it's two things that have hit the same part of the brain. And so I would be looking with somebody at their timeline to see, right, where were those two things? Because with the specific dis-ease, so anxiety or depression or whatever, I can tell you what the nature of those things was. So we can pinpoint them, and then we can use energy techniques such as EFT, tapping, and vagus nerve exercises, and a whole raft of things, whatever the person resonates with,
Mhm.
that starts to shift those. And it's without that fear and without that pain. So do you tap? I can't remember enough if you tap.
I call myself an emotional freedom coach, but I'm
Yeah.
not doing emotional freedom techniques. I
But there,
use the energy, emotion code, body code, and belief code to
yes.
work with my clients.
So things like those, they don't. We have a saying in EFT that it's without the tears.
Mhm.
So there are times when you are invited to approach stuff that isn't comfortable. But then if you go for a massage, you know what it's like if you've got a knot in your back, say, and it's, oh, that hurts, but keep going because I can feel it's really working. And it's the same, I'm sure, with what you do. It's the same with EFT. There are things that I know it's not comfortable right now, but I can feel that it's doing something positive. But generally speaking, we do not do painful stuff. We don't make you face up to the stuff that was really painful in the past. I mean, people may have had severe abuse or massive trauma. We're not going to say, right, sit down, we're going to go back there. Absolutely
Super.
not.
Yeah. No, that's not also not my method as well. But
I'm sure, yeah.
yeah. And so, Robyn, share with us maybe a success story of someone that you worked with, that you want to share the example.
Thank you. Yes. There was a woman who came to me and she was signed off sick with ME. And she had been working for a company who'd been bought over a number of times. And her job had gone from something that she loved and she enjoyed, and she just was happy to go into work every day for what she was doing. And then with all of these being bought over, it became like one of those clock in, clock out, can't go to the loo until you get a specific loo break, and you have to rotate your lunch and you can't just eat when you need to. So it was basically a call center, but a very rigid one. And she hated it. She felt stifled. This wasn't what she wanted to do.
Mm.
But she was so stressed that she got signed off sick. She was diagnosed with ME, and then she came to me. And so we explored, well, what do you want to do? And why are you not feeling able to do that? What's stopping you from leaving where you are now and going to where you would be happy if you're so unhappy where you are. And through some timeline work, we discovered that she had been told, you need a proper job from family members. And the family concept of a proper job was white collar in an office, because that's steady income. And the parents who had said this were doing that because they cared, because they wanted to keep their daughter safe. They wanted to set her up for a good future. But she wanted to be a therapist.
Mm.
She had learnt lots of modalities, but didn't feel that she could leave her job and use what she'd learned. So when we talked and we worked on this, she left her job. She got that confidence that she could do this. And having been signed off sick, leaving her job, she then went into another job as a temporary stopgap while she did further training. And that was having her, she was on her feet all day long every day because she was selling caravans. She didn't have ME anymore. It was, that kind of transition. But then she did this other training while she was working, and she qualified. And this particular modality that she qualified in, they only have one per city in the whole of the UK. So she was that one in Bristol.
Nice.
So just how our beliefs that you were talking about earlier really do hold us, but we may not be conscious of them. And that's what meta-consciousness and other energy modalities, but meta-consciousness can be very direct and specific, rather than sometimes we have to go hunting for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it can help us to identify that route and address that route, and then take the steps that are right for me as an individual. Because she was basically living her parents' ideal, not hers.
Mm.
And when we're living somebody else's ideal, it doesn't always suit us because they're not us.
It mostly doesn't suit us, I must say.
It doesn't, unless we're very similar personalities. And that's often not the case.
Yeah. Yeah. But I really hope that anyone listening, and especially people, yes, with chronic conditions or ailments or anything that just doesn't feel right, I hope that this conversation helps to just get this notion that where you are is not where you need to stay. You don't have to stay there. There are ways out of that. There are people out there to help and to have a conversation. And I think also these people like you, like me, like other people, we've been doing this for a while, and we know, right? We can see the steps even if you can't from where you are. So this is that conversation, and then of course the trust that we can help you get there. So I know it's challenging, but it just needs a conversation to get started. And I really hope that this, to me, of course, it was very beautiful conversation to bring forward, and I hope that people listening share it with the people that they think might benefit, so that we can spread the word and really raise our conscious energy in this world.
Yeah,
Robyn,
if just one person has a greater sense of hope,
yeah.
that would be amazing. Like that starfish thing, even just one, and just to have, maybe I can. That would be brilliant.
So that brings me to that question. Any last message, any last words that you wish to share before we finish the conversation for today?
I think that's it. I think it's hang on to hope. And if you've lost it, find it back. There's a little spark, because when we have life, we have hope. And if we're still here, we have life. So just reaching out and asking if you need help, that's okay. Ask for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just hang in there. Don't give up hope. You can find a way. You can get through this.
I love that. I really do. And of course, all of your information and the contact details and stuff will be in the show notes. So people are very welcome to get in touch, or, get your book your online courses and stuff. But the information is there. Robyn, thank you so much for being with me today here. I enjoyed our conversation, and I really appreciate everything that you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Einav. It's been an honor to be back again. Thank you.
Thank you.